just to get specific about what's happened and when. So it was the very last day. I think your father's term ended on New Year's Eve, 2022. I think that's right. December 31st. January 8th, you had your own January 6th.
Yes. This is that excuse that they use to go after every conservative that they want.
So almost a year to the day later, the United States government was involved in it as well, the Biden administration. You had a supposed attempted coup on the democratically elected government of Brazil, the Lula government, and conveniently a bunch of Lula's political opponents wound up in jail. Is that a fair summary?
Yes.
Is that what happened?
Yes. And the funny thing, Tucker, is that they say that it was attempt of a coup, but in January, in a Sunday, no weapons were arrested. There was no support from police or armed forces. So, in fact, it was a protest that went far away. I do not agree to people breaking the doors of the Congress or the Supreme Court, whatever. But these people now is getting punishments of 17 years in jail. If you commit
17 years for
17 years.
protesting. And can I just say, it's pretty clear that your election was stolen by the Lula government. I think that's fair to say. From the outside, it looked stolen.
Yes, I have my opinion. This is a very sensitive issue.
No,
that
I know
have
it is.
I have to take care about my words, but what I can tell you is...
Why would you have to take care of your words?
You have a congressman that is in jail now because he made a video, Tucker. He made a video talking bad words for the Supreme Court. This man, a congressman, is in jail for 9 years. His name is Daniel Silveira.
Wait. He's in jail for criticizing the Supreme Court?
Yes. Not only criticize, he said bad words. That's true. I would never do a video like that, but imagine, I don't know.
Bad words. Did he threaten violence?
Some, how can I say that? Talking shit things to the ministers.
Yes.
Your mother is this and that, things
Well, you're allowed to talk shit to people in power in a free country, aren't you?
Yes. Where you have the First Amendment respected, yes. But in Brazil, we have some articles inside of the Constitution that guarantee for senators and congressmen like me that you not receive any kind of punishment about what you speak. It's say like we have freedom of speech in Brazil, at least in the Constitution, and the congressman is one step ahead because we cannot receive punishment about our words, votes, or whatever we say. But as this congressman is in jail now, and the things are getting worse.
Okay, I'm sorry, and I keep talking over your story. I'm just amazed that someone
I know that's
go to
very
jail
impressive.
for criticizing the government. It's obviously not a free country just on the basis of that. But I said it was very obvious from our perspective, from the U.S. perspective, that your election was rigged with the help of the CIA. That was my conclusion.
There is a very good article in Financial Times talking about the help of U.S. to guarantee the democracy in Brazil.
And by guaranteeing democracy, that would be guaranteeing the election of the left-wing candidate.
Yes. And the thing is, there is so much power that the establishment did, for example, to avoid the printed vote amendment that we tried to approve in 2021. Why someone from the electoral court, they organize and they judge everything about the elections in Brazil. Why someone from the electoral court, the Superior Electoral Court, as the president, Justice Barroso, came to the Congress and talked with 11 presidents of political parties, telling them to do not approve the printed vote amendment? Why someone works to we do not have more transparency in the election? It's strange. But as Tucker, in my position, I can tell you, I cannot accuse that the elections was frauded, but they cannot prove that it wasn't.
Okay, but just to be totally clear, in a free country, you can have any opinion you want about an election because you're a citizen, right?
Now in Brazil, they consider it's a crime.
So it would be a crime for you to say, yes, I think the election was stolen.
Yes, I could suffer a lot down there in Brazil if I come back.
Even though we know for a fact that the CIA was tampering in the democratic process in Brazil, was playing a role in the election.
Yes. And one of the things why my father got ineligible in a record time right after Lula take office is because he had a meeting.
He was told he could never run again.
Yes, he is ineligible until 2026. We are trying to overturn it inside of the courts, but As you can imagine, it will be very hard to do that. I still have a hope. But anyway, he was turned ineligible because he had a meeting with ambassadors and talked with them about the electoral system in Brazil, how it works, and criticized some points. Normal thing. But before of this meeting of Bolsonaro and the ambassadors, the president of the Superior Electoral Court, he had the same meetings with these ambassadors.
Wait, so you're saying that your father, who's often been compared to Trump, has been declared ineligible to run again in the next election on the basis of complaints about the electoral system, and that you had a protest against a rigged election that was backed by the U.S. government, and that as a result of that, Lula's political opponents wound up in jail. I mean, this sounds like exactly what's happening in the United States.
Yes. It's the
Have
same
you
thing.
noticed that?
Yes. I usually say that it's the same virus, but in Brazil it has unless antibodies. Actually, this is a phrase of the journalist Paulo Figueiredo. It's the same virus here, but imagine that in Brazil, the left wing, or at least the establishment, they fully control the Supreme Court. And who could do the check and balances and stop the Supreme Court to do that is the Senate. But the Senate, they don't take any kind of action against that. They have exactly the same speech of the Supreme Court justices. So in the end of the day, Brazilians are losing the hope to get back democracy, because if you use machines to vote and you don't have a way to at least recount the votes, you have to trust the system 100%. And then they don't let more transparency in the elections. How can we elect someone, Bolsonaro, a conservative, a right-wing, or someone outside of the establishment? This is the feeling that a lot of Brazilians have nowadays, unfortunately, in Brazil.
I mean, once you have electronic voting machines, you can't be certain that the system is real.
Yes.
Why do you have electronic voting machines?
I tried to avoid that. Once again, we approved in 2017 this printed vote bill. What is that? We use machines to vote, all right? This bill says that it was necessary to have a printer aside of the machine. So at least you could recount the vote when you have any kind of suspicion in the election. It was approved in 2017, a federal law, all right? On the next year, the Supreme Court said that this is unconstitutional. That's why in 2019, we started to do not only a bill to change the federal law, but amendment to change the Constitution. And we would have the votes, because this was never an issue of a right-wing or a left-wing politician. It was something that was used to get together all of the Congress. But then, as I said, the president of the Electoral Court came to the Congress, talked with 11 presidents of parties, and changed their mind. And
so
amendment didn't go
if you have electronic
forward.
voting machines with no way to recount and no way to prove what the votes actually were, if you're in favor of that, clearly you're committing fraud. I mean, what would be the other reason to be in favor of that?
They say that it would be an anti-democratic comment of you, and they will shut it down in Brazil.
So if I was a Brazilian citizen and I was in your media and I said what I just said,
They would shut down your social media. It's exactly what happened with Paulo Figueiredo. Paulo Figueiredo is someone like you, Tucker.
Wait a second. I would not be allowed to say that in Brazil?
If you say it would be only once.
Only once.
Only once. Then they're going to shut you down. And if you keep doing, they send the FBI to your house. And if you keep doing, they freeze your accounts. Just what happened with Paulo Figueiredo. That's why he's living here together with Alan dos Santos and Rodrigo Constantino. Paulo Figueiredo was used to have daily millions and millions of Brazilians watching him. Imagine you, Tucker, having like the best moment of your career in Fox News, and the Supreme Court justice says, okay, you cannot say that Lula is convicted. You cannot say that he has connection with Maduro and Daniel Ortega. You cannot say that he has ties with the PCC, the largest organized crime in Brazil. It happened. You can Google it. You're going to see that.
Yes, I can imagine that, if that's the question. If that's the question. But I can't imagine living in a society where you're just not allowed to say it anywhere. I mean, anywhere. So you're saying if I write that on X, if I broadcast it in a on a television channel. If I say it in a podcast, if I say it enough, I'll be shut down.
Yes, yes, or even more than that.